Through to the final again. Remember, they of course haven't won since 1986 when that other famous Argentinian, Diego Maradona, was so crucially involved. But who are they going to play? It's France against Morocco in the second semi-final tomorrow. Oh, I wonder how long they'll stay there and allow the fans to soak up the magic that is this man in Lionel Messi. But of course he's not doing it all on his own. And you, Shay Given, as you were watching, you suggested that they look like a team that's even more together.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stick after the Holland game that, you know, there was a lot of fighting and the dark arts, as the lads were saying before the game. But I think as a group of players and a squad, as a management staff, they showed a togetherness, a fighting spirit. And I think they're really up for this. Obviously, it's the biggest tournament in world football, but it feels like it's going to be their tournament. I know there's a lot of talk about they're doing it for Messi, and rightly so, because what he's brought to the game of football, I just love him so much. I mean, the third goal winning, as Dara and Ronnie mentioned in commentary, it was Messi magic. It was just unbelievable. And then it's game over on 69 minutes. And I'm like that to the lads in the studio, why not take him off? I'll get the biggest bit of cotton wool out of the physio bag, wrap him up, you know, until Sunday.
It was very strange.
It was strange they stayed on, like, but he's just absolutely brilliant to watch.
You heard Shay there, Damien, talking about that fight in the dark arts, but you were suggesting that that's a good thing, that they've brought that into the game and that they need that in order to win the trophies.
Yeah, like I touched on before the game, Joanne, I like it, I love it, and if they didn't have it, you could argue they wouldn't be in the final of the World Cup. Listen, they deserve to win. We talked about, again, before the game, the best teams. Are they the four best teams in the semi-final? You have to say Argentina are the epitome of what a team is. Just like Shay said, the fight, the togetherness, the spirit. I don't think there's nobody closer in the tournament. And listen, punters back home are probably sick of us talking about Messi and showing clips. Is he the best ever? Yeah, but is it the best version of him ever? No, the best version was probably 10 years ago. He's totally transformed his game and how he plays, etc. But listen, he's, you'd say, one step nearer immortality. Yeah. Simple as that. He's
been there before, obviously, and it hasn't worked out. We saw, and I noticed you taking note of it when they showed Lionel Scaloni, the Argentina manager, in tears there a few moments ago. Back when he got the job just after the last World Cup, he was their fourth coach in 4 years. They were really struggling, even though they were only beaten by a goal by the eventual winners, France, the last time out. But they did appear to be in a really, really bad place. They hadn't won a trophy in 28 years when they claimed then the Copa America last year. And here we are watching what's happening in Buenos Aires as Argentina were winning that semi-final. I'm surprised we're ending up in there, given how many are in the stadium in Qatar. But it's quite extraordinary, isn't it, what Scaloni has done? He's come in and bizarrely, he has no senior managerial experience at all, really. He was an assistant manager at Sevilla. He was the under-17 coach. But this is another manager at this World Cup who came into the job on the back of very little experience, and he's now guided Argentina.
I think the Moroccan manager is in the same boat, isn't he? But with Scaloni, they went on this unbeaten run, something like 36 games. Coming into the tournament, a lot of people had them as favourites. And then I saw them against Saudi, wasn't it, when they lost 2-1, and I thought, oh, Messi looks a bit static. He's not moving too well. Then there was a couple of matches where they, you know, resorted to cynical tactics. I wanted them to play properly tonight, and they played properly. I think they only had one booking, if I'm wrong. They didn't make any horrible tackles or didn't get into arguments. They really played properly. And the lad McAllister, we talked about him before the game started. You know, he didn't start the tournament. Alvarez didn't start the tournament. So they've had these players like grow into the team, and you know, they were really, really good tonight, and they didn't have to resort to any cynical tactics. They were great.
Yeah, and it's 4 World Cup goals now for one of those young men Liam referred to in Julian Alvarez. Yeah. And we know who created this, but you're really impressed by this young lad.
I mean, they signed him last January from River Plate, and then he went back on loan for 6 months. But he signed, and he joined the club officially, Man City, whenever they signed Haaland. So he's gone under the radar. They paid £14 million for this guy, and he scored obviously 2 goals tonight. He scored 4 in total, and you know, they only paid 14.1 million. Had they double checked that? But like again, he's a sniffer. He's a poacher in the box. But this Messi again, I know Duffer sometimes thinks he stands about a bit, like, but this is why you pay the admission fee, is for stuff like this. We talked about Guardiola, how brilliant a player he was. He turned him inside out, a drop of the shoulder, and again, can he pick out the right pass in the box? Of course he can, because he's Lionel Messi. He can do anything he wants with the ball. Honestly, this is just a special talent, and we're privileged, me and Duffer were lucky enough to play against him, and this is just magic again.
That guy's one of the best defenders in the tournament. He's turned them inside out. It just shows you can be any size to play the game of football. You know, he's only 5'5", and I don't know what he weighs, but he's just turned probably the best defender of the tournament inside out there. He's marvellous.
Duffer?
Yeah, listen, Joanne, Shay loves quoting what myself and Liam have said all night. There he's at it again. We'll touch
Don't give it away yet.
why he's saying that in a second, but just touching on that goal there, I think we were speaking off air. I think you said there was something online earlier about people recreating tricks in the game. And my view is the best trick in football is a drop of the shoulder, and he's obviously done it there, but with his back to the defender. You can jazz it up all you want with Rabonas and this and that, Cruyff, a wonderful trick. Messi, you could argue, his number one go-to trick, why he's the best of all time, is just dropping the shoulder to go one way and then go the opposite. All right, Shay?
The Duffer special, that's called.
A Duffer special, yeah.
I don't know about that.
They've both got a few tricks up their sleeves other than the dropping of the shoulder. We will be getting to that analysis where Damien Duff may be in agreement. We've been talking an awful lot about Lionel Messi. We suggested Argentina, the beauty and the beast before the match. So let's talk about the beauty and the beast perhaps when it comes to Lionel Messi, because he was the star of the show. I don't think people get too sick of hearing us talking about him, but maybe point out the pick and the highlights of what he did this evening, Liam.
Well, it was just his vision, you know, to pick people out, running with the ball. He hardly ever lost it. Look at that little flick around the other side. Doesn't quite get his best power behind that shot, but that was very nearly a goal. And as I said, like, this is up against Guardiola, who's strong, who's quick, but Messi turns him inside out. As Damien said, a little drop of the shoulder and he's gone. He can't afford to touch him because otherwise it's a penalty, and he just lays on a very simple goal for Alvarez. He was terrific. You know, he's played his way into the game. Early on in the first half, 15 minutes, he just got it and gave it. And then when things began to open up a bit, he began to play the way we know he can, dribble and make situations where Argentina had 2 against 1. You know, he was involved in the first goal. It was a little touch in the centre circle, wasn't it, to get Alvarez away, who got pulled down for the penalty. He's just. Well, you take him out of that Argentinian team, and they'd just be probably a good side. But with him in it, they can be a great side.
And yet, there are some question marks, which Shay Given may not agree with, but Louis van Gaal, of course, did not endear himself to Messi because he suggested before the game between Argentina and the Netherlands that Messi doesn't do anything when he's not in possession of the ball. Does he have a point?
Absolutely. Shay's really upset with me for showing this, but I think they're good visuals. Yeah, I don't think it was his brightest moment, Louis van Gaal. Listen, amazing manager, but he's definitely poked the bear before the Netherlands game. It is a man down. They defend with 10. But you could say he hasn't really pressed since Pep Guardiola left him at Barcelona. Yeah, he pops back in there eventually in the end, but he's always disconnected from his teammates. You know, so is it an issue? Would I let anyone else do it? No, but it's like I said, Lionel Messi, the positives far outweigh the negatives. When they do eventually win it back, he's always in space to go and counter-attack. At his age as well, he always has legs and energy to go and counter-attack. So as much as Shay is saying you can't, the visuals are there. Louis van Gaal was absolutely right. It's correct. He's done it for years. He does it at Paris Saint-Germain. I think he can get away with one player, as in him doing it. But at Paris Saint-Germain, you've 3 doing it. Neymar, Mbappe and Messi. That's why they'll never win a Champions League. But with him on his own doing it, I'm fine with that, Shay.
Well, can it be exploited, though, when it comes to the final? If you were the opposing manager, are you looking to exploit that?
I can understand if you're doing them clips and they're pressing high up, and Alvarez is pressing and the guys are backing up. And
well, they were at one stage. You pointed out in the second half
possibly,
they were pressing.
and I think he sort of semi-pressed. But if they're all sort of sitting in a bit of a mid to low block, then Messi can have a cigar on for all I care at half-time or on the halfway line. But what I'm saying, if they're all charging in on a high press and Messi standing, then that one person who doesn't join in the press, the whole thing falls apart. But I think the way they've set up, and Duffer rightly sort of finished on a positive, thankfully there, he's saying, he comes alive then when they do win the ball back, and he's in a position that he looks like he's not interested, but then he just comes alive, Joanne. He comes alive, and then people don't know where to pick him up, where to press him or nothing, because he's got that magic to come alive, and he comes alive in the final third, as we've seen with the goal there, the third goal.
I think we should look further into this come the final day, and whether France or Morocco might look at that. But there's another special player you really wanted to have a close look at, because it might be probably really the second last time we'll get to see Luka Modric in a Croatia jersey.
Yeah, he's got over 160 caps for Croatia. He's been one of the great players down through the years. This was him getting back doing his defensive work at 37 years of age. I think Ronnie pointed this out. This was a time where Croatia were very much in the game, and he was pulling the strings, as was Kovacic and Brozovic in midfield, and they ruined it all, Croatia, by getting caught on that break from a through pass, where there was no communication. But Modric had a very good game, but once they went 2-0 down, you could see the energy just sapped from not only him, from all the Croatian players.
OK, we'll presumably get to see him in the third, fourth place playoff on Saturday. Argentina, so they won by 3-0. It could have been a bigger margin, couldn't it? Because they had more chances.
They did have chances, yeah. And I think Liam was right when he said that the Croatians did look a bit tired. We talked about the last couple of games they had as well, extra time, penalties. It did take them out of the legs, but they did have chances. And had they scored another couple, then it wouldn't have been an unfair result on Croatia, But again, I think this plays well for Argentina for the final on Sunday. In forward positions, in attacking positions, they're creating some good stuff. Messi again, he just didn't get hold of that one. I think he kicked it into the ground, I think, Joanne. But he'll be happy, he'll be buzzing. I think last year when they won the Copa America, I think there's a bit of a cloud lifted over Argentina. The sort of pressure, it seems like, sort of relaxed a bit. And now, Messi picked up a major trophy for his country. And now the one that's missing, obviously, from his whole repertoire of trophies is the World Cup. And only one game away from that now.
Only one game away. We will have that live for you, of course, on Sunday. We'll also have